The Supreme Court yesterday ended or allowed the Trump administration to end the temporary protected status that had been given to 348,202 Venezuelans under Joe Biden in 2023. Now, this is not all that surprising because, you know, one president does an executive order that does something, in this case, Biden saying these people can stay here, and then the next president can undo it. I mean, you know, it's just, this is how it works. So it shouldn't be shocking that the Supreme Court went along with this, and it's not, you know, necessarily a sign of the court capitulating to the Trump administration or something like that. But this is a significant action. As Alahan Alahatram, the co-director of the ACLU Immigration Law Center, said, this is the largest single action stripping any group of non-citizens of immigration status in modern U.S. history. And that the Supreme Court authorized it in a 2-paragraph order with no reasoning is truly shocking. Well, you know, as I said, I don't consider it shocking, but I do think it's tragic. I mean, these people came here legally. They came here with permission. They received temporary protected status. They are fleeing, you know, the horrors. This one TPS holder, Maria Rodriguez, 33, who's lived in Orlando for 5 years with her husband and 2 kids, including a 2-year-old son born in the U.S. who's a U.S. citizen, said, we're defenseless, we're vulnerable. We left Venezuela because we couldn't make ends meet there. There was no work. We have no family left in Venezuela. It's a true drama. This on top of Trump revoking temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands, or thousands anyway, of Afghan citizens who helped us during the Gulf War, who are now going to be deported back to Afghanistan, where they will face almost certain death and torture, and thousands of Cameroonians. And, of course, they went after the Haitians a while ago. So Trump is doing everything he can to deport hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people of color, specifically, while bringing in white people from South Africa and granting them refugee status. I mean, if this isn't a racial dog whistle, I don't know what is. I just, you know, this is just amazing. And meanwhile, down in El Salvador, the government of Mr. Bukele, President Nayib Bukele, has just arrested the top civil rights lawyer in that country. Ruth Lopez is a critic of the president, and she was trying to work with the imprisoned Venezuelan migrants who we deported, and the police just arrested her. They said that back a decade ago, when she was working for a city government, she embezzled some money. They have not offered any evidence of that, and she has been disappeared. This is the organization she works with, Cristosal, said neither her family nor her legal team has managed to find out her whereabouts. They said that this is a blatant violation of due process, and that it, quote, raises serious concerns about the increasing risks faced by human rights defenders in El Salvador. Bukele, of course, calls himself the world's coolest dictator. And Cristobal said last month, the organization said last month, the police officers had entered its headquarters during a press conference to film and photograph the premises, as well as members of the media and vehicles belonging to the staff. This was an attempt at intimidation. And then last week, 9 international organizations, including Amnesty International, accused the Bukele administration, quote, of adopting an authoritarian pattern in the face of social discontent. They said the Salvadoran government has resorted to excessive use of force, undue militarization, the criminalization of protest, and threats to further restrict civic space. The BBC, by the way, Ms. Lopez, the lawyer who has now been disappeared in El Salvador by the government, was listed as one of the 100 inspiring and influential women around the world identified by the BBC. Incredible. Meanwhile, another federal judge gave Trump a deadline of tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, to facilitate a contact between a different Venezuelan man. This is Widmer Sanguino. He's 24 years old. He's a Venezuelan. This judge out of Texas, Judge Keith Ellison out of Texas, no relation to Minnesota's Keith Ellison, gave the federal government 24 hours to confirm the location of Mr. Sanguinino and 48 hours to, quote, restore and help maintain attorney-client communication. And the Trump administration, of course, is going to appeal this order. Previously, they had ordered the federal government to facilitate the return of Kilmar Garcia, this Maryland father who was wrongly deported. So here we have, you know, this is another federal judge saying, Trump, what you and Kristi Noem, who doesn't know what due process is, who doesn't know what habeas corpus is, which is breathtaking. I mean, I never went to law school. I don't think Kristi Noem did either, frankly. I'm pretty sure she's not a lawyer. But I know what habeas corpus is. I would think anybody with anybody who's ever taken a high school civics course would know what habeas corpus is. But here we've got multiple courts now trying to hold the Trump administration accountable at the same time that Republicans in the House of Representatives are trying to strip the courts of their ability to use the contempt citation to force the Trump administration to behave right.